Hi, my beautiful super soul sisters. Welcome back, and thank you again for joining me today. We are going to talk about real kindness versus fake kindness shoes. Okay, now you would think it would be so simple, right? You're just like, come on, really? Are you really going to talk to me about this? And actually, yes, I am, and I'll tell you why. We have been duped for so long by so many people that we have pushed aside again what we actually internally are feeling, and now we are so numbed out, we have so drowned our intuition that we take things at face value when really we need to be going, let me get my Sherlock shoes on and do a little bit more investigating. And we've missed the cues, and now it's a case of actually, dare I say, retraining a lot of people into going, I'm going to think twice about that. That doesn't really sync for me. He's saying he's, really kind and he's preaching kindness or whatever the case may be. But really, he's like this to his wife, and, he speaks like that to his kids, and he's awful to his, colleagues at work, or, he's an absolute a-hole at work as a boss, or but yet he stands there and says, maybe in church or in some leadership, you must all be kind, to each other. And it's that kind of awareness that I want to build around spotting a fake kind person to a real kind person. And honestly, the difference. When you think about it and you're consciously focusing on it, you got to get your glasses on, your inspector glasses, or with your Sherlock shoes that I was talking about. He has that magnifying glass, Sherlock, in some of the old photos that see of him. And it's like, having a real good examination of the actual details, the actual facts. And sometimes you need multiple. So don't fall into the trap of making a snap decision of going, right, he said that he was unkind to so and so, therefore they are fake kind and he wears fake kind shoes. And you go, no. It could be that he was having a bad day. So you have to put things into context, because everybody has bad days. Not everyone is perfect. We're all human. Maybe there's something that's gone down between those two people we don't know about, okay? And there's a reason for him being unkind. Maybe he's reacting to something that he was provoked to. So, you got to put it into the context in which it actually belongs. And sometimes you need to have your Sherlock shoes on several times to go, right, okay, now, first of all, I had my goosebump shoes going, yeah, he's saying one thing but doing something else. And his body language, this is another thing, is another cue that can tell you that something's off. So it'd be like, oh yeah, I really think that people should be kind, well, if you're all kind of curled up like this, really kind people are open gestures. It's like, please, will you be kind to each other? It's how they say it. And I'll talk about body language and stuff, at some stage, so that you guys can get a heads up when you see an incongruence. You can go, clock that. Notice that. I'm wise now. I'm onto it. I've got my smarty pants shoes on, and I'm going, my intuition was right. My goosebump shoes went, I'm not so sure, Cyril. Don't know about that one. And then you go, right, is it fair? Get the inspector shoes on, start checking it out, get the black swan shoes on, going, could there be an agenda? Could there be, what's the actual, is there a negative motivation for it or not? And be balanced in that as well. One of the things that sometimes we can do is, when we are seeking to make someone wrong, we can automatically jump into the wrong bucket, and we look for, remember I was talking about how we delete stuff and how we distort stuff, and then we land up generalizing, right? When you start doing that, if you are going in with colored glasses that make you blind, like that, it's like blind man glasses. I don't see it, or I want to only see, or you take them off and you have your tunnel vision ones, which is I'm only going to see what I want to see in order to prove me right. So be as balanced as you can with this kind of stuff, because it's all about, I want to get as many people aware as possible. I want to know how people operate and what games they play and what possible agendas they could have, good and bad. There's both. You got to go, does that sync with me? What's my map of the world? What's their map of the world? What shoes do they wear? What shoes do I wear? Who's on my path? Do I want to walk with that kind of person if he's a fake kind person, or she's a fake type of person? And I want to actually walk with kind people, real kind, not fake kind. And how do I know that? How do I know if they are real kind as opposed to fake kind? So you've got to be really onto it with, especially, dare I say, like in times of stress. We quite often automatically look to leadership, and that can be across the board. Like, it doesn't matter, and with sometimes even they think they're coming from a place of good intention, but if they've been swayed in their way of thinking, that is now going to make them behave out of sync. Now you've also got to go, oh, have you been affected by someone in fake kind shoes, as well? Or maybe you've been influenced, but not in a great way. And now it's a decision now whether you're going to go, do you know what? I've seen that impact has been had on you, and I understand, maybe you understand why they've made that decision. Maybe it's that they're trying to empathize, or they're too scared. Like, I've had people who have, look, there was an incident years ago that I remember where a friend of mine she got biffed out of the house on her birthday. It was hectic. And I was there. It wasn't a very nice, happy family scenario. It was a very dysfunctional family. And the younger sister had elected to take the side of the stepmother and the father, because she was just fearful. It's like, I don't want to be homeless, it's, and they were not kind. They were not kind people. The father was, but the stepmother wasn't in fact, she wasn't a kind person at all, she, didn't even want to feed the kids. I mean, it really was quite a dysfunctional, setup. But what happened in that scenario was that, not because the sister was actually an unkind person, not by any imagination. She was young, she was influenced by that environment, and basically, most likely, who knows, I never got to speak to her about it, but it was quite possible that she was like, oh my gosh, if I say, stick up for my sister or whatever, then I'm going to land up in the situation where I'm going to be homeless, and the loss and the worry of that, would influence how she would behave, right? So you get it. And it's, and then you can go, well, she's wearing fake kind shoes, well, she wasn't even being kind, but she's like, oh, it's probably for your best, that would be fake kind. It would be like, oh, it's in your best interest that this happens. Well, no, it's not. But she's been influenced by people who are going, well, this, that, and another. And I can tell you that in this particular instance, the recipient, the girl that was being thrown out of the house, actually was as innocent as she had honestly done nothing wrong, and it was common knowledge there was an issue with the stepmother. So that gives you an idea. And I want people to get to the point where you can spot it. I mean, I want ladies, for you to be wizened up to this stuff so that you can go, yo, sister, I don't think he's being real kind to you. Like he's saying being kind. I'll give you another example. years ago, I remember I was telling you that I went out with, a very good looking guy. This is a very long time ago. And honestly, I was besotted at the time, and I thought, it's all sparks and this, and, you're going to gallop off into the horizon, like the knight in shining armor, and get married and all of this sort of thing. And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare relationship. Honestly, I'm so blessed I'm out of it. I can't thank God enough, because honestly, it was like oil and water. He was an absolute disaster. And, but one of the things he always used to say to me to chip away at my self-esteem was, you keep thinking about yourself, you got to be kinder. You've got to think about other people. Stop being so selfish, and like, he'd say stuff like, like if I wanted to have time with him, just the two of us, like just go for a walk or have lunch or breakfast or just have a little bit of time together, he'd go, you're always thinking about yourself. You've got to be kinder. You've got to think about others. What's wrong with you? And eventually, if you have that kind of wording said to you on a regular basis, you start going, well, maybe I am, and especially if you're a giving kind of person, especially if you're a nurturing, wanting to be inclusive kind of person, of course you're going to start going, oh, maybe, that's a possibility. And, I never thought of it like that. And after a while, I was like, well, I've got to try harder. I've got to be kinder. Very typical of codependent issues, where the narcissist comes up and makes all these, says, you should be, there's something on you, and, look at me, I'm much better. I do X, Y, and Z. And then and it gets all twisted and distorted, right? Fake kind shoes. I'm doing this for your own good. Sometimes there is that need now, that saying of, I have to be cruel to be kind. Sometimes that is the case, and it's normally, I would say, a last resort. Don't go there straight away. But that cruel to be kind thing, really, it doesn't always work for me. I try every other avenue possible, but sometimes you just have to go, look, I just can't play this game anymore. But I think that's a different kind of pair of shoes. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. If they're using it as an excuse to be cruel, that's when they're fake shoes. Okay, so it's when it's serving the look for that black swan. What's the real agenda here? What's going on that they don't want you to know about, and spot it straight away. So what you do is, again, get in line, get your goosebump shoes on, go, feeling something's not right. Now, we switched it off. We get tuned out of this from such an early age, I was talking to someone on a walk the other day, and it was like, the South Americans would walk in the bush and they'd be so in tune with the environment that they'd smell the air and go, it's going to rain today. Like, we are so numbed out that we don't pick up the stuff that we're naturally born with. If you're having those internal sensations, don't push it down, don't discard it. Go, that could be an alarm bell. I'm just going to investigate. So that's when you put on your, Sherlock shoes and you go, let me go and check it out. Sometimes you need to check multiple things, because when there's an incongruency with what's being said and what's being done, there could be multiple things going on. So like I say, you got to check that it's not just one thing and you're making a snap decision. You want to be going, right, let me check this out further. And maybe you need an even bigger magnifying glass like the Sherlock shoes and glasses. If you think about, Sherlock, I often find this is typical of the fives. The fives are great with this, because they're the glass, they typically wear the reading glasses and they look for the detail, and they're great with the detail and they don't miss stuff. So fives are sweet for this kind of thing. But you want to be looking for more evidence, not to just support your thing. Try and be as balanced as possible. And this is where the challenge does come in, because, if you're hell-bent on being right and you go in with that mission, you will only find stuff that's going to support what you want to see. Okay, so you got to take off your tunnel vision glasses and go, right, I'm opening up. I've got my big wide, blinders off, or even, glasses off completely. But now I'm going to take my magnifying glass and I'm going to check. I'm going to say, right, I noticed that their body language really didn't sync, like, yeah, I'm really kind, everybody should be kind. Anyway, as I was saying, now that is not engaged behavior, doing that. Like, I'm in a rush. I've got no time for you, looking at the watch. The body language is closed off. The movement of the hand going, I'm brushing it aside. Okay. Open body language stuff, and I'll talk about this further in another video, as I said, will be, like, we really need to be kinder to each other, and real kind, genuine kind. See, the body language, you can hear it. It's synced with the voice. It's the tone. It's the eye connection. It's the hand movements. It's the openness. It's incorporating all. It's the inclusiveness, so they use a whole different way. So you might go, right, that body language, when they were saying be kind, doesn't sync with the body language of what a person would normally do, okay, if they were genuinely real kind, okay. Then you might go, okay, but it could just be a one-off. Maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they've had, an argument with their partner or the whatever, and they're just off, or they're just feeling tired, or if they're sick, or maybe they've been influenced by someone and now, they're behaving in a poor way, saying be kind, but they're not actually themselves. All right, so put it in context and look for multiple scenarios, not just one. And sometimes you have to get your magnifying glass out, just like, with your inspector shoes on. You get your shoes on, you go and you investigate, you look for, and don't just look in one area. Be open-minded and go, right, I'm going to go across the board. I'm going to look for, don't just go to one area, especially if it's from a particular institution or a particular authority system. So, for example, like I had one scenario once where it was a religious thing, and they pulled out a book and they said, well, you see, we're right, you're wrong. You have to, my shoes, you're gonna wear my shoes, and I'm telling you how you're gonna wear them. No, thank you. But anyway, and they were saying, here you are, and you must be kind. It says here you got to do it like this, and this is the way you got to do it, and and see, I'm right because it's in this book. And I said, and who wrote the book? And he didn't know what to say. And I was like, see now, okay. Now if we look here, and here, outside of what you're using, all your rules and regulations, and you have to do it this way kindness rules, if I remove that and I went and looked elsewhere, would that be the same message, the way that you're presenting it? And the answer was no. So he didn't know what to respond. I mean, they were all praying to get rid of my demons and stuff like that. And God bless them. Now, I'm not saying that the Bible is, this wasn't the Bible, by the way. I'm just letting you know. But, it was one that they had compiled, and therefore the evidence that that person had been influenced by the leader of that, outfit. And it was, therefore, if you buy into only that messaging, of course you're going to think that this is the only way that you're going to be having to do stuff. So, and that if that's all you're exposed to, and they make sure that that's all you're exposed to, if you go there every, I think it was Tuesdays, or Thursdays and Saturdays or something, that they would all meet, and then suddenly you've got other people saying the same message, then of course you're going to be thinking that, aren't you? So what I want you to do is be aware, and again, be aware of, it can be, just even big stuff going around, or even little things sitting in your environment, like we were talking about the other day, posters and messaging and ads and, messaging and educational environments, and if everybody's singing from the same song sheet, but it's actually promoting unkindness, then I want you to be aware that's just like, what, that's actually not kind to split off people like that, or to tell them that, I mean, I had this like growing up as well, where, there was a lot of, because I was in Zimbabwe, there was a lot of animosity towards Africans. Well, to be honest, I mean, like I just happened to be born in Africa. I mean, I'm not into being unkind to Africans at all, never have been, didn't understand it. And there we were, sometimes, in environments, dare I say, where it was like, no, don't eat off the same plate and stuff. And you're like, no, what's that all about? I mean, it's just crap, man. Like absolute rubbish. There's no difference other than the color of the skin. Now, don't tell me that, like to be kind, to be kind only to people of a certain colored skin? Absolutely, yes. Be kind to everybody. Genuinely kind would be, the real kind person is like, don't care. Everybody's, you got to be kind to everyone. There's going to be guys, if they're being cruel to you, I'd say, you got to push them away and sometimes if you're under attack, yes, of course you got to retaliate. Be reasonable and be responsible with that, of course. But it's being aware of that surreptitious undercurrent kind of diminishing, run you down stuff. It's in, codependents have a lot of this issue, it's like where they see him as being chipped away over and over again. It might be that, it was a parent that chipped away and was saying, oh, I'm doing it for the best, for your best interest. I mean, and meanwhile it wasn't. It was like, because they haven't dealt with their own trauma. It might be that, it's a leader promoting certain things in an environment that, they want a certain outcome. It might be, I don't know. I mean, I am going extreme, like a cult where, you collect money from them or something. I don't know. But if we can get to the point where we go, I've spotted that, I'm uncomfortable with that, that doesn't work for me. The way that they said it, their body language doesn't sync with what they're saying. How they're treating people isn't working for me, because if you were real kind, everybody would be treated kindly, right? Not just this particular type of person. And then, to go, well, like real kind people would do X, Y, and Z. Maybe they're having a bad day. Let me just see, wait for more evidence, go, okay, well, that didn't again work for me, that messaging. Oh, they're wanting me to only listen to whatever that message is, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, or whatever it is, or it might be every single day, who knows, but it's getting aware that you're being programmed, or you're being conditioned by your friends, your family, doesn't matter who it is. If they have got fake kind shoes on, you've got to be going, Black Swan, what's really going on? What are they hiding? Why are they wanting to do that? Okay. Especially if your goosebump shoes are going off big time, you really want to pay attention. Don't cut those off. Don't disconnect from yourself, your center. And then go, okay, what would a real kind person do? And I'll give you an example of real kindness. I think of Keanu Reeves. He's got all the money in the world, and some people would say, yeah, but Vicki, he's got heaps of money, so it's easy. But here's the thing. He uses his money for good. He's real kind. He sees a homeless person and he'll buy them coffee. There was one instance that I remember seeing that there was a guy who was mopping a floor in a supermarket in one of those corner stores. And, he doesn't do it for the fame and the glory. He's already famous. He's already got the glory. He's already got the money. He doesn't need to do that. And he doesn't dress up all fancy like or whatever. But, whereas some people would brag about it, especially in celebrity world, it's like, oh, I donated X amount of charity, money to charity, and it's, for a tax break, and, Bill Gates does that a lot, and it's half the time to get his name out, I think, into the media. I'm assuming. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you know, I'd like to be wrong. But the real kind people is like Keanu. He went and paid for this guy. He bought him a corner store and he owns it now, and he doesn't get any money back from it. And yes, he has money, but I tell you what, you've got to be able to be in that position too, where it's like, even if your kindness is something that nobody sees, then it's real kind. You're doing it for the right reasons. So that's one of my challenges that I've got for you today, is do something real kind and not tell anyone about it. Don't brag about it. Don't go, oh, I went and paid, bought a homeless person a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. And I would just like you to just say, do you know what? I took you up on that challenge. You don't have to tell me what it is. Just put it in the comments box. Or if you'd like to, join us in the Facebook group, which would be fantastic, could you hop over and just tell me what you think. Oh, I've never realized that there were two types of shoes. Or yes, I was aware of it on a conscious level, but not on a subconscious level. And you're quite right. I have been duped by, and you might start noticing, you might go, yeah, I remember somebody who treated me like that. Or I remember falling for this one person, and this is what happened. And then I subsequently, like I did, and I was like, you know what? I don't actually want to be with this person. I mean, what an awful person, it behaves like that. It's totally fake kind. You don't want that. You don't want fake kind shoes in your life. I don't want fake kind shoes on my path. You can have the other ones. You can walk on your path and be with all the fake people. I want all the real people. Get real, people. Get real. So ladies, get your shoes on, your kind shoes on. You probably are already, but I would just say, can you just do something kind for, I don't care who it is, one person today, pick whoever it is that you normally wouldn't probably have done before, but just step out of the norm shoes just for a little while and just do something real kind for somebody. It might just even be a phone call, or just sitting with somebody saying, look, how you doing? Or, just giving them something, anything. Don't care what it is, please share it. And then also, can you just ask people to join and listen? I want to help people take the next step and become more aware, so that we can get everybody in their own shoes, on their own path, their own way. And well done for you coming back today in order to do that. Congratulations. Okay, namaste.